Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and I want to just explore a little bit behind what's been going on the past few months and what I think could be coming down the road. We haven't had a road ahead or a state of the galaxy in a while from Capital Games, and I've been kind of just looking back through all the recent things that we've gotten this year, just even this year alone, and there's a lot of big changes, and there's a lot of things that kind of indicate that I feel something big is coming. That the next update isn't just going to be, oh, we have nothing coming on, that I think there's something big coming to Galaxy of Heroes. I'm going to show you why I think that. I'm going to show you a few potential things that it could be. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. We're going to give a huge shout out to my channel members first. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. If you're interested in joining channel memberships, I've got a link down below. Again, guys, just please hit that subscribe button. I want to hit 10,000 subscribers. When we hit 10,000 subscribers, our King Wampa will hit Relic 9 on a special live stream. You guys heard it first right here. Relic 9 Wampa on a live stream for you all because he is king. So let's first start with all the quote unquote changes, right? The things that we've gotten. So these are not in order. They're not in oh, this happened first. This is just the stuff that's really been happening here. So you got the Seer Junda unaligned Force user team, right? You obviously got some other ones in there, right? We got the Night Sisters with Marin, but this is kind of the big one here, right? We got the, Seer Junda team. Then you got Cal Ripken Sr. kind of coming in as another Jedi. Then the Phoenix got a massive boost with our Captain Rex coming into the game. Then you can't even discount the fact that this Nisa with Ewoks is huge. Because for a lot of players right now who are going for Leia, they're going to get C-3PO because you need to Relic 3 Ewoks. And I know a lot of you are going to say, oh, well, Ewoks are trash. I guarantee you when you go farm Leia that a lot of you will end up placing this team on your defense in Grand Arena. Because you're going to realize you don't have enough teams and you've got 3 Relic Ewoks, you may as well place them on defense. So I don't want this place to be I'm not saying the Ewoks are the best team in the game right now. But if you're a mid-level player and you've got 3 of these guys Relic because you went for Leia, you can't tell me you're not going to place them on defense. I'll call you a liar. You're going to find a way to use them. You've got the Imperial Remnant team kind of taking shape with Scout Trooper and then also Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. So that's another big change that's kind of come into the game here. We're kind of getting a whole nother squad. We're finally finishing that Imperial Remnant team. Then we got Galactic Legends Leia, where it finally gave R2-D2 a true home, and then Captain Drogon kind of going in there in that team as well, bringing the Rebels really into the forefront here. The Rebels got a lot of love in the recent times. They've really kind of completely revolutionized that faction, going all the way back even to when Profundity came in with Adrad. We've also got Saw Gerrera who came in. Not really the biggest impact. He's not on this list here. I probably should add him, but GL Leia coming in, really revolutionizing them, and then obviously Rex with the Phoenix crew just punching well above their weight. Next, we got the Dark Side Mandalorians with reworks to Gar Saxon and Imperial Super Commando. Again, intention here is that you'd probably use Canderous and then Dark Trooper Gideon when you get him in a 5v5 situation with this team. Again, I'm not quite sure what the actual end game here will be, only because right now Maul is still primarily used with Lord Vader, and if their intention is to take that away from Lord Vader gets significantly worse. So he either needs a dedicated lifter unit, or there's going to be a new leader coming in for the Dark Side Mandalorians. So kind of stay tuned there. This is a faction I really would want to keep your eye on, because they're definitely ramping into something big with Mandalorians, because we're even getting a new Bo-Katan with Paz Vizsla already in the game. We're going to get another friend of hers coming in to really make a solid light side Mandalorian team. Again, I mean, this is all stuff that's happening in reality, this is a short window of time that these things are kind of going to be transpiring in terms of the game as a whole. And I'm not even done yet. I don't even have the Night Sisters with Marin on here either, which, kind of shocking, but I left them off for a reason. Just because I think that a lot of players, that's not a faction that was readily available to them, where I think a lot of players are going to have the majority of these things because, the Phoenix Squadron, everybody gets thrown at some point, right? This unaligned Force user team is something that is so good that I think a lot of people are going to work towards it. The Night Sisters kind of do belong here, but can't forget the ludicrous speed bundles that we got for Rey, Kylo, and even Starkiller, right? Those bundles were massive to this game. They really propelled a lot of players forward. And it just begs the question of why now? Like, what sparked this now compared to like a 3-year anniversary? Like, what's causing this now? And I think that's the one thing that Capital Games really hasn't answered. They gave a reason of why they did it, but not really a reason on the timing. And I think that's something that I'm looking for, is why this timing now? What is there something coming that you want players to be prepared for? So that's just something that that's been on the back of my mind a little bit, is like, what is coming? Because you've taken all of these factions that were like, decent enough. Like Unaligned Force users, there was a lot of leftovers there, so you gave them a home. The Phoenix Squadron was something that you left at Gear 8 once you got Thrawn, and now they're something that you really want to be investing in because of how good Captain Rex is. The Ewoks were another thing. You get your C-3PO and you just drop them, let them go. With Princess Nisa, maybe there's some really good niche uses here for that team. And I think for especially newer players, I'm going to just put this in here. I will be, once I get Nisa 7-star, I will be attempting the C-3PO. I'll be kind of revolutionizing that guide. I'll do it with Princess Nisa to see if she makes a significant change, significant impact to that event. I think she will. I just am not there yet, so I'm going to do that with low gear. I'm going to make sure that she kind of stays at that. Probably take her to Gear 9 maybe. I'll try it with Gear 8, Gear 9, and maybe even Gear 10 just to show you guys kind of how that changes. So I'll make sure to do that in a video for you as well. But you're seeing all of these teams kind of come together. That they're transforming these squads that were missing something, trying to give us more things. And I think that has to be for a reason. That either we need more teams for something coming up, or there's, whether they're changing, we'll get into Territory Wars Grand Arena, whether there's more Conquest stuff coming, we don't know. But just, you can't look at all of these changes and not say that something is happening, right? So let's start with everybody's favorite game mode, Conquest. You guys remember at the initial start of this Moff Gideon Conquest, that obviously Conquest isn't active, but it was extremely difficult. There was a big theory going around, right? Conspiracy theory, of course, right? Tinfoil hat. That a lot of that reason was Capital Games is intending to create a harder version of Conquest for players at the very tip of the spear or at the end game. And that coding kind of got into the rest of Conquest, and it shouldn't have. I don't know how much I'd buy into that. The reason I say that is because that Conquest was so incredibly difficult. But I could 100% buy that maybe they are going to work on another difficulty of Conquest beyond hard mode. Because the amount of players who play hard mode, right, goes from 4 million all the way up to players who have 13 million galactic power now. So you're talking about a 9 million GP gap. I definitely think they need to do something to sort of say, hey, here's hard mode and here's ludicrous mode. Or here's, extremely hard mode. I can't envision them just sticking with hard mode and continuing to move these feats more and more and more, and kind of just alienating those players in that 4 to 6 million range who really don't have that roster anymore to be able to compete in that hard mode Conquest. Because something that you need to keep in mind is that when Conquest first started, having a 4 million GP account was a pretty solid, you get a pretty solid account at that point in time. Whereas now, you get to 4 million and you still are not near being able to compete in a lot of these feats that are required in Conquest. So just something to keep in mind there, that changes to Conquest could be coming down the road, and that's why they're trying to give players some of those older teams. The next thing could be Grand Arena. We could definitely see some changes to Grand Arena. I don't think 3v3 will go anywhere. Everybody loves to say, oh, maybe they'll scrap 3v3. There's too many Omicrons that are specific to 3v3 and or 5v5 that I feel it'd be detrimental to them to say, hey, guess what, your Tusken Raider Omicron no longer works, right? Or that they'd have to do a lot of rewriting of different coding and things so that Omicrons work in both ways. And I just don't know that that's what they want to do. I think they like that 3v3 and 5v5 a little bit too much. I think they're here to stay. What other players have said is, would they expand the board? So they've already changed it. They did change the fleets. If you remember, you only needed 2 fleets. Now you need 3. If they change to 4 fleets, the only time I could see that happening is if we got another fleet that's on par with Leviathan. Because I purposefully left this out, that when we've got all these new things, right, we cover the characters, but I wanted to get to this point in GAC where we talk about this. When you look at the fleets and ships, we got the whole new Leviathan fleet this year. right? Leviathan was new this year. We got Leviathan, and we also got the Marauder, which in its truest form is designed to break apart that Galactic Republic fleet and allow us to use 2 of those. So, allow us to use a Galactic Republic fleet, with clones and with Jedi under Negotiator. So, again, Capital Games trying to expand the width of our rosters a bit, right? To give you more stuff. I don't know that I could see them going to a 4th fleet in Grand Arena until we get another fleet that's at least on par with the Leviathan. I think Leviathan, unfortunately, is just in a league of its own. It requires the counter to it takes away from the off-meta counters that you used for Negotiate, or that you used for Executor and Profundity. So in my personal opinion, I really can't see how they would... What's the wording I want to use here? That if you put a 4th fleet in this zone, it's going to be very difficult to clear fleets without bringing a lot of offense and kind of leaving yourself vulnerable on defense. So I don't think that could happen yet. Down the road, potentially. But adding more zones for characters is a popular one that comes up. Where I see this as a big problem is the way that matchmaking is set up. I'm going to show you guys a little brief thing here. So I'm in Kyber 2 at almost 10 million GP now, right? So I need to place 11 ground squads down in 5v5, and I need to place 15 ground squads down in 3v3. So I have to place a significant number of teams down. But when you look at how many things are in this game now, you start seeing that you could use more teams in GAC, but you're then going to give a massive advantage to those players who are well below where they should be competing. At my level in Kyber 2, I definitely face some guys who I feel should be in Kyber 1, but I also get some very fair matchups who are within a GP range that I can compete against. But you think of those of you guys who are in the lower levels of Chromium and Erodium, and you're facing guys with my level of GP, and you can't beat them. Well, imagine that now they get to place even more of their roster down. Like, how are you supposed to beat them? So, I want to show this example for GAC of why I think they really should maybe increase the amount of teams we need to place down, but that they would need to fix the matchmaking so that way it goes back to ensuring that there's not guys with crazy amounts of GP fighting lower. So right now, I need 22 teams for offense and defense in Grand Arena. So I broke it down into teams into groups of 4, just as a sake of argument, that I need 11 for offense, 11 for defense. You need a total of 22 teams to successfully set a defense and one-shot your opponent's offense. Again, I know that's asking a lot, but you get the concept here. There's 8 Galactic Legends. So 1/3 of your entire GAC offense and defense is Galactic Legends at the top level. 1/3 of your entire offense and defense is Galactic Legends. Let that sink in. That's insane, right? That is an insane number of teams right there. Right, you go to this next grouping here, right? 12 of 22. I've got Reva in here. Darth Malgus, General Skywalker, Commander Luke Skywalker. 4 very, very solid teams. Again, you're over halfway done with your offense and defense at this point right here. Halfway done with those teams. Here, we get 16, right? I included the Starkiller team, Seer Junda's team, Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, and Qui-Gon Jinn. Now look at that. You need 6 more teams left. And there's still so many teams to pick from at this point, right? You guys will see there's teams that are missing from this. Just, again, making an argument here. Look at this. We get to 20 of 22. I need 2 more teams left, including these guys. And then finally, I get down to these last 2 teams to get to 24. There's 2 extra teams here that you potentially would not need to use. Again, I know that depending on what your opponent's place and stuff, but the concept remains, right? The proof of concept is here that there's a lot of teams to use. And the board is not quite big enough for all of these top tier teams that they keep releasing and releasing. So where my head goes to is if they increase it, they need to, one, fix that matchmaking so that way you're not having to punch well above your weight against somebody who's got significantly more to place down. You think if you have to place just 3 more teams down on defense, that's 3 more teams on defense. 3 more teams on offense. So 6 more teams that you really need to have. In reality, that's 6 more teams that you need to have at your disposal. If you're lower GP, that's not going to happen. So I don't think that we're going to get a new GAC board anytime soon without first adjusting the matchmaking, because I think it would be too disparaging to players who are having to punch well above their weight, which Capital Games knows is happening because of the way they want the matchmaking to work, that you win as often as you lose. So it is intentional what they do right now. So I don't see them changing that GAC board. Where I do see them changing, though, is Territory Wars. Territory Wars is something that, in my opinion, has been needed to be updated for a significant period of time. Now, I'm not going to show you guys what teams my guild places where, right? That's a trade secret. But in Marvel Strike Force, I brought this up before, there's Alliance War, which is their version of Territory Wars. Now, you only have 24 people in an alliance. And the way that their zones work, right? If I was to click on like a zone here, so this zone here, right? Instead of there being 41 slots here, there's 16 slots. But those slots can only be filled by 2 separate players. They can each fill 8 teams, right? That in each zone, 2 players can fill up to 8 teams in Alliance War. And what it does, in my personal opinion, is that it places much more significance on you being in an alliance that is as good as you. That you don't want to be in an alliance where you're the best player, because you only get to place 8 teams down. So if the rest of your alliance is garbage and you're really good in Marvel Strike Force, you don't have as much of an advantage as you would in Galaxy of Heroes, where if I go join your guild at 200 million and I set Jabba, Lord Vader, Kenobi, Luke, my Galactic Legends and everything down, I could probably win most GACs at that level. Like, most people would not be able to get through that defense with everything else that guild would have, right? That I would be a significant asset well below the GP that I compete at. But I've always wondered if they would try to limit that impact that one player could have on a territory war, at least defensively. I think if you limited the offense, that would really change guilds. That would break guilds apart. That would be I should say I could see it happening, because they've done things that just destroy guilds. But I think if they were like, hey, you can't do a only offense or only defense as a player, you've got to do this and you've got to do this, I think that would really hurt this game. I don't think they would go that route, but I could 100% see them saying, hey, we're going to limit how many teams you can place on defense, hoping that it encourages your entire guild to have to participate in Territory Wars. Because as you can see in my current one, my guild only had 41 members join it. Some of you would say that's sandbagging. But in reality, right, maybe these 9 members aren't going to play, right? So, for example, I'm going to go to Lita here, our guild leader right now. I know that he was traveling at the time, so he wasn't going to be able to log in. If he joined Territory Wars, just for the sake of argument here, right, if Lita joins Territory Wars, it's 11 million GP that's going to do nothing during this Territory War. So we're not sandbagging. We're just not hindering ourselves that, oh, hey, we're actually 11 million higher than what we are. Like, if he's not going to play, don't join, right? I don't think that's sandbagging. I think everybody thinks that's sandbagging. Like, we don't intentionally tell people not to join. It just happens that way. So I wanted to mention that, just that was something that was making me think a little bit about how, Territory Wars works. That, if they went to this model where in Marvel Strike Force, what's unique, you can preset your Alliance War defense. So I could come in here and say, this zone I'm placing Jedi Master Kenobi. Over here, Jedi Master Luke. General Skywalker 501st. Star Killer here. General Grievous here. Like, I could say, hey, every single Territory War, place these teams here. That's the way Alliance War works. My gut says they would never do that for Galaxy of Heroes, because then it would I want to say inspire laziness from guilds, but you think of why they wanted to move away from the Simmable raids. Because people weren't having to participate with the content to benefit from it. So I think they're trying to get us to play more of the game. And a good way to do that, if in my personal opinion, I've been kind of rambling about this, but you kind of see where I'm heading, that like they want to get you to participate more. And I think that by trying to get these players all these new teams and things that have been released, it's that you need the tools to be able to compete offensively and defensively in a game mode like Territory Wars. So, in conclusion, I know I've been going on and on and on here, but with all of these changes, something big is coming. Whether it's a change to Conquest, Grand Arena, or Territory Wars, I don't know. If I had to make a guess, I would say the change to Territory Wars is the most likely. It's been rumored for a long time. The Grand Arena change, I think, would take a lot more warning on their part and a lot more work. because it would have massive consequences of players like myself who would be very upset if they were just like, oh, yep, now you need 6 more teams for GAC or whatever, and we're not going to adjust where your skill rating is. Like, I think that would really ruin a lot of players. So you guys let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think could be coming, right? What is there a change that I missed? Maybe they're just adding a brand new game mode that we just have no idea what it'll be like. The only reason I don't think that is because of Rise of the Empire. So we'll leave it there. You guys let me know. I love all you. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.